to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and you're about to listen to a hypnosis session all about tapering off medication. And the nature of certain types of medication is that they can have quite addictive properties and they can have withdrawals or some kind of biochemical or physiological response if you come off those medicines, particularly pain medication. And what this session was created for was a client that was recommended to take certain medication, and when they reduced that medication, when they no longer took it, they had a very intense reaction, and that was a traumatic experience for this client. They then had lots of other medication, and they wanted to taper off until the only medication that remained was absolutely essential for other parts of their health and their life. Now, one of the symptoms that the client had was brain fog. They had another symptom, which is tinnitus, the ringing in the ears. And they would also feel other sensations, and it might be sensitivity to noise, or it might be other things. So you're going to hear these in this session, and it uses a metaphor of a journey. They know where they are, and they know where they want to get to, and the tapering off is a way for them to get to that destination. So it's framed very much that the symptoms are a clue that the body is adapting, not a problem. And a lot of people, when they have a withdrawal symptom, they give it the meaning that this is not good and they have to go back to do the thing that they were doing before. So if you think of someone, for example, that quit smoking or coffee, then these stimulants, there are withdrawal sensations in the body, and that might be headaches or crankiness or low mood. And then the moment they go back to whatever that behavior is, those symptoms go away. And that becomes a trap, because then it reinforces this idea of dependency. And a lot of medication have similar things. It punishes someone for trying to reduce the dose. So seeing the withdrawal symptoms actually as evidence that the body is adapting is a good reframe to make the journey more positive. There's a metaphor of a road-based journey, so bumps in the road. Everyone's had the experience of being on a rocky road before. It can be quite bumpy, or a air flight with turbulence. And if you think of a time when there's been turbulence on a plane, you can see two people on that plane with entirely different reactions. One person is freaking out, and someone else is fast asleep or just immersed in a movie. It's the same thing, but it has a different meaning. And lots of things in life are like that. It was created for an individual, therefore lots of the suggestions are going to be unique to them. But if you want to taper and reduce the amount of medication, this may be useful, but only in conjunction with working with your doctor. Speak to your doctor if you have a pain specialist and figure out a plan. You're going to hear a reference in the hypnosis session that this is about following a plan. I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a hypnotherapist. This is designed to be empowering and resourceful. It is not a substitute for clinical medical advice. So speak to your doctor, and then you can listen to this to complement whatever plan you might be recommended. And if you do want a session that is entirely customized for you, click the first link in the show notes or visit my website, adamcox.co.uk. You can book a consultation call, and if you use the coupon code podcast, you get that at a discount because you're listening on the podcast right now. You might get some real value from this session though, so find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be distracted or disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in that resourceful, long breath of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow a release, almost like a sigh, a release valve to allow any pent-up tension or vigilance to feel that it's free to release that pressure. That's it. And when you breathe in, give yourself permission to breathe in slightly deeper than the previous breath. And as you exhale, allow that outward breath to carry on, to elongate, to keep carrying on until your diaphragm, your lower belly is completely empty. And you don't have to force a breath, but just allow deeper breath in and a long breath out. And in doing so, scan your body for any clues of rigidity, tension, any sensations. Acknowledge what you feel. And sometimes when you notice tension in the jaw, just by noticing it on the next outward breath, you release it. Or perhaps it might be a tiny muscle around the eyebrows or the forehead that's been tense without you realizing. And then when you exhale, you release it. And you can do that scan not through hypervigilance or even vigilance, but from curiosity. You can be curious where your body is stressed or tense, and curious about how it feels when you release that tension, that stress, in the release valve of an outward breath. And as you settle into this experience, you don't have to make anything happen. And you don't have to force yourself to relax. You can simply allow your attention to become a little less interested in everything around you and a little more interested in that quieter rhythm within. Maybe you become more aware of the natural rhythm of your breathing, or just the sense of weight of an arm or a leg, just how it feels on the surface beneath your body. Tap into the knowledge that for these next few minutes, there is nowhere else you need to be, and no other problem that you need to solve. Because this process is not about forcing your body, more about communicating with your body, reminding your nervous system that this is not the abrupt, uncontrolled experience of the past. That was then and this is now. And you are wiser now. You have access to more resources now. And sometimes when something happens and we're not expecting it, it can create a sensation like shock. And if your body was expecting something, it got used to that resource and then suddenly it stops. Then that gradual preparation that your body needed wasn't there. Back then, it would have felt like a rug pull. That thing it had got used to has suddenly just disappeared. And contrast then with now, where each change is considered, measured, supervised and planned with care. And sometimes discernment is useful to identify the differences between one situation and another. If a child is scared by a clown, they may think all clowns are scary. That isn't necessarily the truth, but it can become the truth if a meaning or a belief is connected to it. Telling a child that if they see a clown they should feel confident isn't necessarily the kind of suggestion that would work. But telling a child that a clown is just a person with makeup on their face creates new meaning. They no longer see clowns. They see humans with a silly costume and makeup on their face. And your body has been giving meanings to medication, meanings to changes, and meanings to symptoms. And I wonder what would happen if some of those meanings change. The interpretations have different connotations, and some of those connotations could represent progress, of moving forward in the very direction that you desire. So as your nervous system gradually learns the difference between that old emergency and a new, controlled, thought-out process, you realize that here you have choices, and here you have information and support and experience. Like you're traveling at the appropriate pace, one stage at a time. And maybe you can imagine that that's like beginning a journey of several months. A journey towards greater freedom, clearer thinking, and a life that's no longer organized around medication schedules. And I want you to think of that destination. That's where you're heading. And you've been there before, so you know that destination exists. And you realize that you do not need to arrive there today. In fact, it might be a shock to the body if you suddenly teleported there tomorrow. So you only need to continue traveling in the right direction. And perhaps this journey is like a long flight, that before the aircraft leaves the ground, the pilots have planned the route, and they've checked the conditions, and they understand that the weather may change, or that adjustments can be made along the way. The passengers don't control every movement of the aircraft, so they don't need to analyze every sound, every vibration, or every small change in altitude. In fact, this aircraft is designed to adapt, and the pilots are trained to respond. And so the journey continues. And there may be moments where the traveling is smooth, but there may be moments where the aircraft moves through turbulence, vibration, a shake, a temporary movement, and turbulence may feel uncomfortable, without meaning that the aircraft is in danger. In fact, the movement does not automatically mean emergency, and discomfort does not automatically mean damage. A temporary increase in sensation does not automatically predict what will happen next. So imagine yourself on the aircraft, perhaps in those big first-class seats, perhaps reclining, and maybe this journey is jolty every now and then, but that's a price you're willing to pay, because the journey is really about getting you to that destination. And so your body can experience any temporary sensations while it learns to function with gradually changing amounts of medication. And what if a tremor can become a reminder that your nervous system, your biochemical reactions are downshifting and recalibrating? Not panicking, just adjusting, learning, adapting, and searching for a new equilibrium. And what if when that tremor begins, it has a new meaning? My body is adjusting. I do not have to add fear to the sensation, because fear can take a small vibration and amplify it. I want you to think of a moment where you were on a plane and there was turbulence, and imagine the faces of two different people with two different meanings to what turbulence was. For one person, turbulence meant danger, imminent death is possible. And for someone else, the meaning had such little value, it couldn't distract them from continuing to watch that movie. For them, the meaning is that this is just what happens. Every now and then, when you fly towards a destination. And I want you to think of the meanings that you've been giving to tremors, or tinnitus, or anything else. Has that been catastrophizing? Or perhaps going forward, the meaning is recalibration, progress. Your body is adapting. Attention can take a quiet sound and make it seem louder. You've been in a room before that's had a clock, and the ticking always existed. But if you focus your attention on the clock, you hear the ticking. And if you don't, even though the ticking is there, it doesn't exist for you. And sometimes, when you really focus on something, it can be like a microphone placed too close to a speaker, creating that horrible screech of a feedback loop. The sound produces concern, and the concern produces more monitoring, and the monitoring makes the sound seem louder. And then the louder it seems, the more attention it receives. Where focus goes, energy flows. And what if your focus is not on the turbulence, not on a tremor, or a sound, or a sensation? You give it the meaning that it's progress. And you, with strength and capability, continue on your journey to where you really want to get to. That's what it's all for. You're going somewhere. And in the same way that someone can move a microphone away from a speaker, you can move your attention. You don't have to focus on that background sound, the sound that seems like it's always there. You don't have to demand that it disappears. But if you give it the meaning that it's progress, recalibration, adjustment, your whole nervous system calms down. Your brain focuses on other sounds, like the sound of a voice, the movement of air, a conversation or music or something interesting, something meaningful. Like a game of ping pong, the sensation arises and you focus your attention elsewhere, while still giving it the meaning that this is a clue that your body is adapting to a lower dose. And so the less you test it, the less information your brain receives that the sound must be important. Everyone's had at least one time in their life where they were so stressed or so anxious they could literally hear their heart beating or feel a pulse there in their neck, close to their ear. That sound was always there, but it took a heightened emotional state to hear it, a sound that was always there. And when you realize that as you pay these things less importance, give them more empowering meanings, the attention naturally diffuses and the focus goes elsewhere. And don't be surprised if you notice these things less and less while you're still making progress to the very destination you desire to be. You can experience a feeling without building a scary story around it. And you can acknowledge discomfort without turning discomfort into danger. Calm does not mean ignoring your body. Calm means observing clearly, following a structured plan. It means knowing when something is expected, when something does need monitoring, or when a conversation needs to be had. You may notice that when you sleep well, your body relaxes more, and the turbulence becomes less noticeable. I want you to think of one long road trip you had, maybe as a child. A place you really wanted to get to. A long road, except this road leads towards freedom. And some sections of the road are newly resurfaced and smooth, while other sections are uneven, and there may be bumps and bends, hills and temporary roadworks. But that bumpy section does not mean the road has disappeared. And it doesn't mean you must abandon the destination. It simply means that this part of the journey requires patience, appropriate speed, and steady hands. You do not prove strength by driving too quickly over rough ground. Real strength is responding intelligently to the road in front of you, slowing when necessary, continuing when appropriate, and every now and then resting and taking a break when useful, or asking for guidance or directions when needed. The right pace is not the fastest pace. The right pace is the pace that allows sustainable progress. You're not in competition with a calendar. It's better to get to the destination on a more enjoyable journey than rushing to get to a destination and being rattled by the journey. Every carefully completed stage is like a milestone, a stepping stone towards your destination. Every period of stabilization is a part of progress, and so a pause is not failure, and adjustment is not failure, and information from your body is not failure. It's just information that can be used wisely. And throughout this process, your body can become increasingly familiar with adjustment. And the first changes may attract the most attention because of novelty, but familiarity can reduce alarm. Your nervous system can learn that you've experienced changes before and you found balance again. That you can allow sensations to rise and fall without needing to chase them. That you can remain strong without becoming tense. That you can remain aware without ever needing to be hypervigilant. That you can stay hopeful without demanding certainty. Headaches can be met with appropriate care rather than a feeling of immediate catastrophe. And nausea can be experienced as a temporary wave rather than a permanent setback. Internal activation can become energy that will settle rather than evidence that something terrible is beginning. Anxiety can be recognized as an old alarm system attempting to protect you even when no immediate emergency is present. And brain fog. You've been around foggy environments, and the fog always lifts, and your destination is fog-free. But the occasional foggy day is just part of the journey to a destination with more clarity, more freedom. And I want you to imagine arriving at that destination. Perhaps you can imagine the plane landing, or the car on the road trip finally arriving. But I want you to imagine seeing yourself at that destination, maybe 7, 8, 9 months from now. Imagine yourself like a third person. I want you to see what that version of you looks like when they aren't a slave to a schedule, when they have more freedom. I want you to see that future version of you without medication, but also without tremors, without brain fog, without any tinnitus, and without any pain. I want you to get a sense that humans can disassociate easily. There was a time in high school you were doing something boring, and you just daydreamed that you were somewhere else. That's how easy disassociation is. So allow yourself the possibility that if pain or discomfort arrives, why not use that skill to imagine you're somewhere else, perhaps in the future you want to be. You do two things at once. Disassociate from pain or discomfort, while simultaneously giving a clear destination for your mind and body to gravitate towards. And if your unconscious mind is clear of this future, not as an imaginary destination, but your life without dependency and without symptoms that you no longer desire, then let me know by nodding your head. That's it. Hold on to the thought of what that future looks like, and then step into it briefly. What would it feel like to wake up and there isn't a schedule to follow? No anxiety or worry about what it would mean to miss a dose even by a few hours. Just, there's no need for it anymore. And I think that would feel like freedom, liberation. That would feel like a wonderful destination to get to. And as you hold that thought, I will give a choice to your subconscious mind that if, when you're listening to this and you hear me counting from 1 to 10, you wish to awaken, then when you hear the number 10, you will awaken. But if you're listening to this, perhaps at night with a head on a pillow, and and you desire to drift off into wonderful, dreamlike sleep, rejuvenating, restorative sleep, well then when I count from 1 to 10, it will be a transition guiding you into that wonderful, rejuvenating sleep. Allow your unconscious to make the choice for you, to awaken or drift into that wonderful sleep, and only awakening when it's time to awaken and your body's got the rest and recuperation it needs. Starting to count from 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.